It's good to be in church this morning, isn't it? I appreciate the Lord, His goodness. And I never realized till lately, Brother Bill, that not all churches want the Spirit of God moving in their midst. I never thought I'd ever see that. I've heard about it. I've just experienced it lately that not everybody wants to be moved or moved on. And so when you come into a service like this today, I'm going to tell you, I'm glad to be in church today. I'm glad where the Spirit of God can move and touch people, aren't you? Now there's folks that say it don't happen that way anymore. That's because they don't want it to. Praise God. But I'm glad He still moves, and I'm glad the power of God is still real. I appreciate it. And say again, so good to be in church, good to be here, and appreciate the church. And but I was thinking, it hadn't been too long ago, just a few nights ago, I had a reality moment. Anybody ever have those? And now, I never thought I'd ever say this, but 25 to 30 years ago, I never had a reality moment. I know some of you think, well, you're still just a kid. And I know. But 25 to 30 years ago, I would never lay down to go to sleep and say, you know what? One of these days, I am going to die. I am not going to live forever, much as we'd like to. One of these days, ever how it happens, I'm going to die.
Yes, we are.
And I guess I drifted off to sleep with that on my mind. Woke up with it just a little bit on my mind. And just a moment ago, it come to me again. You're not going to live forever. I know it's just the devil saying that. I know it is. But he's not telling me something I don't know. But I got to thinking, the way the songs were going and the way the things were taking place in the service and God was moving, and I thought of that verse, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered in. And I got to thinking, I'm going to die, but when I do. But when I do. Oh, yeah. And then I got to thinking, I was at a funeral, Sister Isabella French's funeral not too long ago up in Indiana. And Brother Webb was speaking, saying some words, and he told the story of Brother Anthony Lester being in the hospital room of a man. I don't remember all the details or everything that took place, but I do remember he said the man was obviously dying. And was a church-going man and a good man. And they said that they thought he had taken his last breath. And they just thought that was it. And they began to watch him, and he started like he was climbing. One run after the other, just climbing. And they all kind of stepped back. Somebody walked over and said, "Dad, are you okay?" He never responded. He just kept on climbing. Just kept right on going. And he was raising himself right up in the bed, Brother Brad, just getting higher and higher. And finally, he put both hands on the top of Brother Mitchell, and he pulled it over the top, and he said, "John, you never said it was going to be like this." Woo! Boy, I thought about that, and I said, all of my troubles, all of my trials, all of my confusions, all of my mistakes, all of the things that I've done that haven't made sense to me or anybody else for that matter, when I climbed the last run, John, you never told me it was going to be all like this. Hallelujah. I'm going to tell you, when you look over the top and you see all those good things, you are going to forget every trouble and trial you ever faced on this earth.
Right, yes.
Now, right now, they look pretty tough, don't they?
Oh, dear God.
Well, I just tell you, right now, they are tough. There ain't no looking to it. But there's coming a day, Sister Marcia. I'm going to tell you, I know the rest of you can tell the same story. Everybody in this room, if you got the chance, you can stand up and say, "I'm going through it, I'm going through it, I'm going through it." There's not one child of God breathing today that's not going through it. I'm telling you. I'll be glad. It's not always going to be like this. You know, they've sung that song, and I've heard it sing and helped sing it. A lot of times I'm not only going to make it, but I'm going to enjoy the trip. Well, that's okay, and it's still a great song.
Yes. Hallelujah.
But I'll be glad to get past the trip.
Oh, yes. Glory.
I'll be glad just to climb over the top.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
You know, I don't know what it is. I was talking to Sister Kathy yesterday evening, and her and Sister Pauline's kind of dealt with that unbalanced feeling all the time. And of course, like I said, 25 or 30 yeyears ago or whatever, I never dreamed of anything like that. But whatever the case is, whatever they might have, I think it's rubbed off on me a little. Because there's times I stumble and my feet don't seem to go. They argue with each other too much sometimes and don't get squared away. And I'm glad sometimes my wife hadn't seen me. I just about fell out of the truck I drive before. Just your feet, or mine at least. I know they probably got something for that. I probably got something wrong with me along with everything else. I don't know. But one of these days, it's not going to be that way. Me and my wife was talking the other day, and I said, you know what? The devil sometimes brings your mind to all the things that's happened to you, all the things that you've lost, whether it be family members or things you've lost that you enjoyed, for whatever the reason, whether it be your decision or however how it worked, the things that have brought sorrow to you, the things that you just absolutely say are not fair. How many can say that? How many times you ever had said, that just flat wasn't fair? Well, that's just the way it goes. But we were talking about it, and I said, but one of these days, I'm going to pull up on that last run.
Hallelujah.
I'm going to look over the top, and I'm going to have to say the same thing. John, you never told me it was going to be as good as all this. Hallelujah. You know what I'm striving for, Brother Mitchell? That last little pull.
Yes.
They said when that old brother pulled up and he saw that, and he said, John, you never said it was going to be all this. They said he just kind of let go and laid back in the bed, and that was his last breath. Can you imagine?
Oh, God. Dear God.
That being the last thing you saw.
Almighty God. Almighty God.
Whew.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hey. I was talking to a pastor, he pastors in Florida, not too long ago. I'll say this, sit down. I was talking to him, and he said he had a bad car crash, and just about took him out of here. And if I mention his name, I know Brother Sparks would know him, maybe the rest. But he said I had a bad crash, and it just about took him out of here. And he said the last thing on my mind was my lost daughter. And he said, I have had some men that has absolutely wrecked my church. They have destroyed my church. They've done me awful. They've done me bad. He said, and all those things were kind of in the back of my mind. He said, but the thing I was worried about the most was my 19-year-old daughter at the time was dying lost. And he said, when I got to the hospital, it was kind of in and out. And he said, I remember finally waking up and calling her name and saying, where is she? And did she pray? And he said, now, where would I have been if I'd have died thinking about the man that destroyed my church and hurt my feelings and done me so bad? He said, where would I have been if those things would have been on my mind when I died? Come on, think about it for just a minute. We don't sometimes realize every moment when it can happen.
Right.
What we're thinking about or what we're doing, for worst case. But compare the two, both men. But one lived, still preaching, still pastoring. Thank God, God spared him. The other brother died, looking at all the things that he'd been promised and more. Praise God. Listen, folks, we've got to keep on going.
That's right.
We've got to keep on going. And I'll tell you, every time, and I hope I haven't killed anything this morning, but every time when God just comes through, Sister Pauline, and he just touches.
Yes.
Now, I've been to the place where you didn't feel like responding. I sure have. Sometimes more often than not. But I found out that if you'll just try to respond, just try to respond. Because I've tried to help some folks here lately that not only would they not respond, they didn't want him. You know why they didn't want him? Because when God's power starts moving, how many know he turns the lights on?
That's right.
He turns the lights on.
That's right.
And when he turns the lights on, folks start going, whoa, I need to go to the altar. Or they'll say, thank God, I've got nothing to hide. They start worshiping.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, folks, they didn't want the Spirit of God to move. because they didn't want him turning the light on. They didn't want any changes made. They didn't want any conviction falling. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of churches. I didn't realize it, but there's a lot of churches that are getting in that same mode. God help us to not ever get there to where we say, I've got enough and I don't need no more. But God help us say, turn the light on every service. Would you breathe on me every service? Would you move me every service? Come on now. Just like this morning. Wonderful service. I'm going to get out of the way, but I appreciate the Lord. I really do appreciate being here in the Spirit of God moving. Just refreshing. Absolutely refreshing. And talking about liberty. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Praise God. Why don't you just stand at your feet this morning? Why don't we just thank God? Worship the God of heaven that's not dead but still alive today. All over the house. Let's worship the Lord.